Did the Timberwolves do enough this offseason to finally make the push? Welcome in or welcome back. This is the first episode that we're having a guest. Super excited. And I wanted to bring on someone who is very near and dear to my heart, a very dear friend of mine. He's not a content creator per se, but something we will get into later. He is indirectly responsible for the video that you are watching. And probably more importantly for this video, he is the only Timberwolves fan that I know. Welcome to the channel, Riley.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. When I thought about doing the season previews, I thought, wow, I want to get some content creators and people I know.
Yeah.
Who's a Timberwolves fan? And you were the only one on the board. So by default,
Happy to take it. Excellent.
I think it's really important for people to understand, the people who are watching this, to understand where you're coming from as a fan, and to give a little bit of insight to who you are. You are a brand new basketball fan for all intents and purposes. Most of the people that I know in my circle, people I grew up with, they are fans of basketball almost since birth, but you got into it much later than life. Could you give some insight as to how that came about? Was there a specific nexus point for you that caused your fandom of the NBA?
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of sports in general. I liked watching football growing up. I was a big Saints fan when they won the Super Bowl. But basketball was something I always was more keen to playing than actually watching. So it wasn't until the 2023-24 season that I sat down to actually watch some games. And there was one game early in the season that really caught my eye, and it was Boston at Minnesota. It went to overtime. Jaden McDaniels played 45 minutes. I was so locked in the entire time. Anthony Edwards, 38, 9, and 7. Incredible game. It was so awesome to watch. I loved how the Timberwolves played, and I was just, no other team had that magic for me like the Timberwolves did.
Well, that game also made a brief cameo on Netflix's Starting Five, so it was very monumental. Who knew that it was going to lead to your fandom at the time? But nonetheless, that we're here. Was there something specific about the Timberwolves other than the style of play that drew you in? Because you could have very easily, from that game, become a Boston Celtics fan like me. But what was it about the Timberwolves that separated them from the pack, for a lack of a better term?
It was 100% the defense. I value defense so very highly, and they played hard-nosed defense through and through till the very end, and I loved it.
Well, they definitely have the people for it. You have the guys like a Rudy Gobert. You have Jaden McDaniels. And Anthony Edwards, when he remembers he can play defense, is up there with some of the best wing defenders in the league. So all of that is super valid. To kind of tap into some more of your fandom, I've got some just more get-to-know-me questions. Obviously, we've covered how you became a Timberwolves fan. In your young fandom, do you already have a favorite Timberwolf of all time? Has someone snatched your heart?
I've been watching. I've been taking a lot of time and doing a lot of research about the history. I've been very sucked into the NBA as a whole. But as much as I want to say Kevin Garnett, because I love the highlights, Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, Anthony Edwards is so electric to watch. It's so good.
It's hard to not like a player like that. He reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson. Even though their play styles are different, their mentality toward the game is really similar. So I understand why Anthony Edwards is your pick. It's the wrong pick because Kevin Garnett is obviously the answer.
Of course.
But I understand Anthony Edwards for sure. In that same vein, is because of all your extensive history to the Timberwolves fan base, is there someone that you think about a lot, or maybe you have an underrated player that maybe not everybody thinks of?
Yes. So only played a few years with the team and really got held back by injury. I think really could have been a superstar. Yeah, superstar gets thrown around a lot, but a great player for what he was. Terrell Brandon is so underrated. He was good to get you 2 steals most games. He was doing 8, 9 assists averaging. He was an incredible guard.
It's hard to beat top-tier guard play, and especially on those later Timberwolves teams playing with – I don't think that he played with MVP Kevin Garnett, but the
Right.
ascension of Kevin Garnett, where he was
The
already
the young
averaging 20
KG.
points and 12 rebounds again. Yeah,
Mhm.
super easy to like totally understand there. And then one last thing before we get on to the season preview.
Mhm.
Again, you're very new into this space when compared to maybe myself or other people that we'll have on this series here. But do you have a solidified favorite moment as a Timberwolves fan? Is there something that you remember so vividly that you thought, wow, this is the highest that I could ever get?
I I've watched this clip 100 times. It blows my mind every time. Anthony Edwards game-winning block on Aaron Nesmith, where he hits his head on the backboard. Incredible stuff. At 4 seconds left in the game, just incredible.
There's this phenomenon within basketball. The NBA Storyteller actually did a very good video about this specific thing. It's the extra boost that you get when you are colliding with another player.
Mm,
Because Anthony Edwards probably still would have gotten that block, but the fact that he ran into another player, he got like 6 extra inches of vertical, which is
right.
insane for someone who already jumps that high. Definitely a top moment for
Oh,
sure. Totally
oh,
understand
I
why that was
love
that.
love that clip.
Well, now that we know you and who you are as a Timberwolves fan, we have to talk about the season preview. And more important than any sort of acquisitions that you made, more important than any sort of signings that you made, the biggest offseason story that the Timberwolves have is Rudy Gobert is in his bag. He's starting to work with Lethal Shooter, and I think also Jason Tatum's trainer for his ball handling skills. Do we believe in the bag work that Rudy Gobert is going to give us this year?
I really like that he. How do I word this? Rudy needs to control the ball. And so I think this is going to be very vital to him having less turnovers in the future. I don't want to see him, tween step back three, but just to get like a better control of the ball, I think is going to make him a better, well-rounded player as he gets older.
I think that if he ever did pull out a tween as he stepped back, like in my realistic, like my peak view in my mind, like pure cinema, it's against the Warriors, it's against Draymond trying to get revenge for what he did to him last year. He does that, hits a step back three, and that's the highest selling top shot
Oh
card
yeah.
in all of history.
Oh,
That's all I want for him.
that'd be incredible.
Now, of course, I don't think either of us really think that we're going to see that this
No.
season. So let's get into the real meat and potatoes of what happened for this season. I think that foundationally, teams always start through the draft, and there were a couple picks in this year's draft. At number 17, we got Joan Berger, and at number 45, we got Rocco Zakarski. I saw them during the Summer League, and I thought that they could be very serviceable. I think the problem that they're going to run into is that forward and center room that you all have is so packed with Rudy Gobert, with Naz Reid, with Julius Randle. Is there any real scenario that you see that these two, or maybe just even one of them, could play a significant amount of time, or do you see them just being in the G League all year?
I mean, we saw from last season what we did with the rookies. We were playing Rob Dillingham like 3 minutes a game. Like, I
But his per
honestly,
36s, like,
yeah, yeah, great stuff. And I wish he would have got more burn, but ultimately, I don't think there's a lot we can expect from the rookies we got this year. I don't think they're going to see very much burn at all.
yeah, I kind of feel the same way for them, unfortunately. And at least with like Rob Dillingham and spacing on his name, Clark. Um,
Yeah,
I feel like for them, where it's less of a hassle to get through, especially for Rob Dillingham, the only real competition that you had is Uncle Mike, who we love here, by the way. No
of
Uncle Mike
course.
slander will be tolerated, but he's older, so you would have thought that if someone was going to give someone an opportunity, if a coach was going to give an opportunity for a young player, it would be in that specific scenario. Because even though Dante DiVincenzo was brought in to kind of relieve some of those point guard duties for Uncle Mike, he's not a pure point guard. And
Hmm.
I'm not saying that Rob Dillingham is either, but you would at least think that you could give the rookie some PT, and that just never happened. So for Jan and
Exactly.
Rocco to be in the position they're in, where you are talking about borderline all-star guys in all three of the people that we've talked about already. I think it's going to be a really hard battle to overcome for them to get PT.
No, definitely.
So, unfortunately, this seems like a project, for a lack of a better term. This may be insurance, especially for Jan Berenger. I feel like he may be some insurance if and when Rudy either gets injured or leaves in free agency or gets traded or whatever. I see a lot of Jan in Rudy. I don't think that he'll reach the heights that Rudy has. I don't see him being a 4-time defensive player of the year. But
Sure.
if you can get 75% of that, I think you call it a win.
Definitely. And I don't think it's a bad thing to put these players on the back burner by any means. I think the roster we have is so deep as is that, like, it's just extra. It's the cherry on top.
Yeah, well, it's super rare, too, when you get drafted to a situation like that, because Jan was just outside of the lottery. And the Timberwolves are ready to win now. They're not
Right.
2 or 3 years away. They're trying to make a push now. So when you get added onto a team, it's kind of hard to do it. I can only relate it really to the Boston Celtics. We drafted Jordan Walsh a couple years ago, and he's this hard-nosed defending like wing stopper, but he's also playing behind Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are all NBA guys. So
Right.
I kneh he wasn't going to get any burn when he got drafted. So unfortunately, it seems like I forget what their G League team name is, but I feel like that's where they're going to be.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they're going to grow fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see them being bad players. So we're just going to have to give them time. They're not going to show out immediately. We have talked about a couple of the people already that have re-signed to the Timberwolves, and I'll be honest here, I'm very surprised that we got one re-signing. We'll touch on it in a minute. But the re-signings for the Minnesota Timberwolves are Joe Ingles on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Julius Randle, 3 years, $100 million. And arguably the biggest one, and you could still make an argument that he is underpaid, Naz Reid, 5 years, $125 million.
Yes, sir.
On the Julius Randle note, I think that honestly is a team-friendly contract, even though on the face of it, it's $33 million a year for Julius Randle. I feel like if you have that mentality about it, you didn't watch the Timberwolves this year. And as an objective fan, like as a neutral fan, I won't pretend like the Anthony Edwards Julius Randle pairing is perfect. I think so very pairings in the NBA are, but he wasn't a bum. He could have very easily been in conversations for an all-star. And what I really admire about Julius Randle last year was that he went to a situation and realized, oh, Ant's like the guy. Like he's not just a guy on the team. He's not just the guy that the coach gives the ball to. Like he's like a top 5 player in this league when he's at his best. So I'm gonna have to take a step back. I can't do the hezzy tweens like I've been doing. It's either a standstill shot when I'm wide open or put my head down and get to the basket. And I think it's really valuable last year, and I think it's going to be even more valuable this year.
Definitely. With Julius, I really think that he thinks that we can win a championship. And if you look at his playoff performance that he just had compared to what he was doing on the Knicks, it's night and day. So I'm not super surprised that he re-signed, and I'm glad he did.
I think a lot of times and a lot of different players in the NBA are just woefully miscast. I think that you could be a fantastic number 2, but you were asked to be a number 1. One of the best examples, I think, at least in recent memory, is Aaron Gordon on the Magic. He was drafted number 4 in that draft to be like the savior of that franchise. And when he wasn't that, he was dragged through the mud. But he gets traded to Denver. Oh my God, this is the perfect pairing for Nikola Jokic. And
Right.
I feel it's not that good. We're not gonna go that far here, but I think it's something similar. Julius Randle, when he was in New York, even playing with Jalen Brunson, he was kind of asked, especially in the playoffs, go get us one, go be that guy. And now you see that this move has worked for both sides because you saw the success for the Knicks last year. And even though they didn't get as far as they wanted to last year, I still feel like the pairing between Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards is worth it.
Yeah. And we've already seen from the beginning of last season to where we were in the playoffs, how much they have grown together and like how different the dynamic is. We remember the early games with Julius Randle where he wouldn't pass the ball to Gobert, and then he got frustrated and just chucked it at him, turnover. But they have started working so cohesively as a team.
Yeah, it's super fun to see. I don't think that first year pairings often work. It's so very rare in the NBA where it does. It's the second and third year where you start to see real progress. So I think that we're in for something really special. But also something that's very special is Naz Reid coming home. There was a lot of smoke during this entire offseason of there's some rumors that he's going to go to the Spurs, or he may just take a huge payday and go to the Jazz. I was really high on him going to the Spurs, for the record. I wouldn't want him to leave your team, but if he was going to, I wanted him to go to the Spurs. Shout out to the Baseline Bums. However, on a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are we that we have Naz Reid on our basketball team for at least 5 years?
10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I don't care how much money we have to pay him. He is just the person I want on the team. The fans love him. The Timberwolves would be stupid not to re-sign him. He does everything that I want from a sixth man. He's been incredibly efficient. I love everything he does.
Super fun player too. Of course,
absolutely.
He was put into the public lexicon of basketballs with the Jelly Fam, and he has really just made a name for himself in the NBA. Efficient, like you said, can score at all three levels, and he's a lot better of a defender than people want to give him credit for too. So I think that even though, again, on the face of it, $25 million a year for a sixth man seems like a lot of money, we could argue that's an underpay.
Yeah, definitely. And I would have paid him more money.
You hand me that checkbook, all of the money's for you, pal.
Damn, that's right.
Well, we've had a lot of fun talking about all the good things for this year, but we're going to have to touch on the bad just for a second. With every team, with every offseason, there comes the departures. And while I think you could argue that one of these players that departed the Timberwolves won't be missed, I think that we can both agree that the player that you are going to miss the most in Minnesota is Luka Garza.
All right, hold on. Yeah, I think you... Wait, hold on. Typo? Hold on.
No, of course, we're talking about Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Of course.
Arguably, I don't want to say... There's this clip rolling around from the Numbers on the Board podcast. Shout out to those guys. Pierre once said that Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the better Alexander. And I'm not going to go that far, but I do think that he will be very, very missed in Minnesota, especially defensively. I thought that the tandem of him in the backcourt and Jaden McDaniels on the wing caused a lot of problems for opposing teams because taking it back to something I know, take the Celtics, for example, when we had all our guys, right? We had Jason and Jaylen Brown. Well, I don't want to say that Jaden McDaniels will lock them up, but he's going to make their life hell. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker did the exact same thing for Peyton Pritchard and Drew Holiday and Derek White. Like, those kind of players you need on your team. So if you were going to miss anybody this year, it's going to be Nickeil.
Definitely. And it sucks to see him go. I understand why it needed to happen that way. But I do think that this isn't all negative. I think that Rob Dillingham can be one to step into that role. I know that he is working a lot on his defense, and if he can be at like a decent defender alongside Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards, like I think we're gonna have a really solid lineup there.
I think we're gonna see it pretty early on in the season as well. Chris Finch doesn't mess around with those lineups. You can kind of see what he wants to do early on in the season. If we see Rob Dillingham in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season play 15, 20 minutes a game, he's going to be locked in for the rest of the rotation, the rest of the year. But if we're getting these spot minutes, garbage time at the end of the game, blown out by 30, like if we're starting to see that, I'm going to have some real questions for Chris Finch because I watched Rob Dillingham at Kentucky. I know how good he is, and it's wild to me that he doesn't get a bunch more PT.
Right, and I kind of get it from last from last year, he hadn't really proven himself on the NBA floor. Like, he had good per 36, like you've seen, but he also had a lot of turnovers. I really think if he is going to get burned, it's now or never.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The turnover thing is obviously something that you want to pay attention to and keep an eye on. But honestly, I think more than anything, that's just being young. That's just being 19 and wanting to prove yourself, especially in the situation that he's in. I think if it was a Trae Young situation when he went to the Hawks, like the team said, "Here you go, buddy. Do whatever you want." But with Rob, where he does get so few minutes, he wants to force things and he wants to prove that he belongs there. So the turnovers are more amplified that way. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he improves this year, if he improves at all. And if he doesn't, Chris Finch, we're coming for you.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he can play more as a role player than trying to make something happen when the bench unit is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Fitting into a system and a team philosophy is almost always going to be more valuable to your career than being individually brilliant. A good example of that for those watching is Austin Rivers versus someone like KCP. And I'm not just making that comparison out of nowhere. Austin Rivers has said so himself. KCP has been able to fit into systems, and that's extended his career. Austin Rivers is now a very good podcaster. I think with someone like Austin Rivers comparing himself to KCP, KCP was just able to fit himself into a system, and that extended his career. But for Austin Rivers, he wanted the ball in his hands. He thought that he was this Jamal Crawford type where he could just put the ball in his hands and he can go hoop. And while I still think that he could have done that given the right opportunity, the system fitting will definitely pay you more and keep you around longer. So maybe that's something that he can glean from early on in his young career. And hopefully we're looking at a 15-year career.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. I agree.
We did make a funny about the other two departures that you're going to have. Both, ironically enough, going to the Celtics with Luka Garza and Josh Minot. Especially for Josh, not a whole lot of burn for him in Minnesota. Luka Garza got like spot minutes, and he spent a lot of his time in the G League. Is there anything in those two that you could be missing? And if you can't think of anything, is there someone on the roster that will benefit from their absence?
I do think that this, like I've already said, we are a very deep team as is. And so everybody is fighting for the minutes they're getting already. So I think it's going to be, I think we have 10 people that are going to get minutes anyway. And they're all going to just play more.
As a Celtics fan, looking forward to see Luka Garza as our starting center or potentially our sixth.
Yeah, that's actually going to be really
I've always liked him.
I want to see him do well
when he was in college. I mean, he was the Naismith Player of the Year at one point, but his game is just such a throwback. He reminds me a lot of Greg Monroe. Like, if he was born in a different decade, he'd be a 7-time All-Star. But in this one, not so much. When we think of the season as an overview, I view, and maybe it's like this all the time, maybe it's just the recency bias that's getting me, I view the West as loaded as ever. Is there something on your team, someone, a scheme, something external? Is there something that you view as a biggest factor to make the T-Wolves successful this year?
So I think a lot of it is going to come down to just how cohesive we play on a night-to-night basis. You're absolutely right. The West is completely stacked. Like, I see us as one of the best teams in the league, and I'm expecting to be a 4 seed. Like, it's great. Like, the Thunder is obviously, the best team in the world. The Rockets, I'm really interested to see what they're going to do. Jokic, of course. I really do think that we have the better defense. We have the second best defense in the league behind the Thunder, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say, as someone who's from a neutral camp, I feel like the gap between the Thunder and the Timberwolves is pretty big, but I will agree that it's at least the second best defense in the West. Speaking of some of the competitors out west, be on the lookout. A little shameless plug here in the middle of the episode. Shameless plug. Be on the lookout for the Rockets episode. I'm going to have Colin Hatfield on the channel. And for the Denver Nuggets,
Shout out.
be on the lookout for that. We're going to have the Drop Step Network. Really excited for both of those episodes. Be on the lookout for that. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Is there someone on this roster that you think can take a huge leap this year?
So I'm actually going to give you two answers. My first one might be a little controversial. So I know he is getting older, and you can't expect a whole lot. But I really do think Julius Randle can go back to being a 25 point per game scorer in this system.
I thought you were going to tell me Uncle Mike. I was going to.
No. I couldn't do that to him.
Oh, boy. I mean, we've been very, very high on Julius Randle, very complimentary throughout this entire episode. So I'm not surprised that was your answer.
I think I liked a lot of what he was doing in New York, and just the more comfortable he gets here, he's going to revert back to what he was doing there a lot, which I see as a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against what he was doing in New York.
And for the second answer, I want to actually shout out the other Nick that got traded. Dante DiVincenzo, I think, is going to have a better season as a primary ball handler. I want to see him get a lot more burn as point guard. With Uncle Mike, I expect him to get even less minutes than he was getting last season. I don't expect Uncle Mike to start every game. So I think Dante is going to slide in there a little bit and really show us what he can do.
Well, I think Dante has that in him as well. When he was on that Villanova team, I think that being a good facilitator is equal parts court vision and selflessness. So when you're playing on those Villanova teams that have 4 NBA players on it, including yourself, you kind of have to sacrifice in different ways. And because he has been in the league and played with so many good players, I mean, he's played with Giannis, he played with Steph Curry, he's played with Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards. Being able to be selfless and facilitate for the betterment of the team, I think could come very naturally to him. I just think he has to buy in. So definitely on board with you there.
Yeah, and I think that he can. It's also going to be the same thing, like I said, with Julius Randle, that he's getting more comfortable in the system. And once he is more comfortable in the system, I wouldn't be surprised to see him have another great 3-point shooting year like he did on the Knicks a couple years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember because he left. I'm pretty sure he left Golden State to go to the Knicks, and someone said that he stole all of Clay's talent, Monstar style. I thought it was really funny. Now we've touched on a couple of the teams here about just how good the West is. Is there someone in the league, other than maybe the obvious one in the Oklahoma City Thunder, that you're terrified to play? Do you think that there's a team that matches up with you so well that you could be taken out?
I mean, the biggest wild card has to be the Rockets, right? We just don't know what Kevin Durant is going to be capable of there. We don't know exactly what their system is going to look like, but I'm really excited to see it. Other than them, I think the Nuggets are just like I said before. I think it's obviously Thunder's, Rockets, Nuggets, Timberwolves, the top 4 seeds in the West. I think that all the moves the Nuggets have done have been incredible. I think their team is super strong right now. I'm kind of scared to go against Jokic. That has help.
We'll get more into it on that episode with the Drop Stat Network. But yeah. Just to spoil it here a little bit, I think that the Nuggets had the single best offseason this entire year. I mean...
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think they made incredible moves.
They didn't even have a draft pick this year because they're in draft asset hell, and it still didn't matter. They were able to turn Michael Porter Jr.'s $37 million into Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas, and KCP? No, not KCP. Who was the other guy that went there? Tim Hardaway Jr. That was the other guy that went there.
Yes.
So to turn a 4-for-1, incredible. I think the Nuggets are going to be pretty scary this year too.
Yeah, big round of applause for their front office. Great work.
I think we touched on it a little bit here. You kind of see the Timberwolves being at least a 4 seed. Is there a scenario where you see them being the number 1 seed? Is there a ceiling to this team that you believe in?
Man, it is so hard to say that we can be a number 1 seed when the Thunder are as good as they are. They just had one of the best seasons in NBA history. They have one of the best teams that has ever been constructed, if not the best.
So 2 then. 2 is where we're going to have
Okay. Do I think there's a possibility? Sure. It's small. But
is it a scenario
sure.
where like the Thunder's plane has to go down and that's how you end up being the number 2 seed? Is that
I think it would I think it would take injury for sure.
Well, we certainly don't want any of that. So I think
I don't want to wish anything bad to happen to SGA by any means.
I think that being number 2, especially in this West, is very honorable.
Mm-hmm.
Toward the end of the season, obviously, we get to look forward to the MVPs and Defensive Player of the Years, Rookie of the Years. Do you have anybody on your roster that you think could be in contention to win any of the awards? Not be nominated for it, not be in contention for it, but to win the award?
Yeah, I think we're in contention for almost every award. I think Naz Reid can be 6th Man of the Year. I think Anthony Edwards has the capability to be an MVP. Rudy Gobert. He might be a little fast, but DPOY Rudy Gobert, 5-time MVP. Let's get him going.
I've softened my stance on Rudy Gobert a little bit, just really for your benefit. But if he becomes a 5-time Defensive Player of the Year, we're gonna have to have some talks. I just can't allow that.
No, I don't actually think he's going to be in any consideration for that. But I do think Anthony Edwards is a top 5 player in the league when he's on, like you've said. I think this year he is really going to show us what he can do. And Naz Reid can be 6th Man of the Year every year till the day I die. I'm happy.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat when I was writing this outline out. Those all seem like hits to me. Well, now that we've previewed the season, the way that I'm going to have these other episodes with content creators, I'm doing at the end what I'm calling a content corner, a place for content creators to talk about how they got here, some tips that they could give out, who inspires them, etc. Because you aren't a content creator per se, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for this. Like I alluded to at the beginning of the episode, you are indirectly responsible for this video that people are watching. And the modicum of success that I have seen online for the people who may be unaware, I have always wanted to do content creation, but I didn't have a very good outlet for it. I didn't know how to harness it. And Riley and I have been friends for a couple of years now. We play games with each other all the time. He hit me up on Discord one day and told me that he was going to be a fan of basketball. And my eyes lit up. People, like I said before, people either are born that way, essentially, or they never are. It's really rare to see someone be a fan this late in quotations, in their journey.
Honestly, not to cut you off, sorry. I became a fan of basketball because of you and the Discord you made. And it is the whole reason I wanted to start watching.
Well, I appreciate that. Shameless plug. Join the Discord. It's linked in the description. It was really nice. Not only were you a place where I could very safely and freely voice opinions, where I could fine-tune them for later videos down the road, but it was also just very nice because even though I am a basketball fan, I have realistically someone who loves basketball like 60% as much as I do, one other person in my life that likes it that way. So it was really nice to have someone that I could geek out with of this sport. And because of the Discord that you were talking about, I would see something, I'd react to it, chit chat a little bit. I was able to fine tune my thoughts and feelings on it, which eventually turned out to be TikToks or YouTube videos or whatever the case was. So for those who may enjoy me, first of all, I appreciate you. But as much as you appreciate me, I think that you should give a round of applause for Riley as well, because without him, I don't think that I would be here. So again, thank you, Riley, for every bit of success that I have now and may get in the future.
Oh, you did it all yourself, man. You've put in the hard work. It can't be all on me, but I will take some praise. Thank you.
Now, for the viewer at home, I didn't put that in Riley's outline, so all of that was him being caught off guard.
It was. No, I'm honored, honestly.
Something else that's going to catch him off guard is the end of the episode. We're going to do 5 rapid fire questions. I just want you to think of the first thing that comes to your mind. You don't have to give an explanation of your answer if you don't want to, but first thing that comes to your mind, are you ready?
No, I was reading. Yes, of course I'm ready.
Hopefully that's not the answer for this first one. Most frustrating player to watch on your team?
Was Cat. That's the first thing that came to mind. Dude, Rudy.
That's fair. I can't argue that.
I love Rudy, by the way, and I defend Rudy online a lot. But it's also Rudy.
Most satisfying win that you've got to witness so far as a basketball fan?
Ooh, that's a really good one. Game 7 against the Nuggets last year.
Yeah, it's hard to top that. Great pick.
It was a great game.
One Timberwolf that you would allow to dog sit your dog Dory.
Uncle Mike. I trust him with my life. I trust him with my whole family. Absolutely.
Same. Can't go wrong there. How many MVPs does Anthony Edwards end his career with?
I'll give him a healthy 2 MVPs. I think he's got a back-to-back in him.
Ooh, back-to-back. Put it in the books.
Put it in the books.
Put a futures bet on that. And then lastly, before we get you out of here, we should mention that you are a huge music fan, a musician yourself. Who is the Timberwolf who would make the best musician?
Ooh, Jaden McDaniels looks like he got bars.
You know what? When I was writing that down, I honestly kind of thought Jaden McDaniels too. He reminds me a little bit of like sleepy rappers. He just has that look to him.
Yeah, he's got a young lean flow in him for sure.
Yeah. Well, that was the last one of the rapid fire. I really appreciate you hopping on. I wouldn't have...
I'm super excited that you let me be here. First guest, I'm super happy to do this. I'm happy to talk about basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't going to do this without having you as guest number 1. Like I said, if you're watching this still, be on the lookout for your favorite team in this series. We've got a couple more content creators coming in. I'm really excited about all that. Go ahead and leave us a comment down there. Tell us who your favorite Timberwolves player is, what you think the season's going to be. Give us some encouraging words going forward. While you're down there, check my description. Got a link tree with all of my socials. We've got TikTok and Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and the aforementioned Discord that I would love for you to be a part of. That's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for Riley. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. And I'll see you in the next one.
Barely scraping by. Trying to stop puffing. I'm trying to be one of the greats.